Shana, Simon Tavkuf Pei Beis. So, Satzah would say the Tfilas Aseret Shemei Tshuva with Rosh Hashanah. He should have said the opposite. Say the Tfilas Rosh Hashanah Aseret Shemei Tshuva. Because first comes Rosh Hashanah, then comes Aseret Shemei Tshuva. Just mentioning.
So first goes to Shana. Oh, Aseret Shemei Tshuva is after the Shana?
Aseret Shemei starts with Rosh Hashanah.
Oh.
Rosh Hashanah is the first day of Aseret Shemei Tshuva.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just asking. He says there's a Kol Hashanah, throughout the year, Adam Mispalo Hakel HaKodesh, the Bracha Gimel, the Bracha At HaKodesh, so you said, you end Baruch Atah Hashem, Hakel HaKodesh. Umelech Oyev Tzedakah Mishpat, and the Bracha of Hashiva, so you finish Umelech Oyev Tzedakah Mishpat. The Bracha Yud Aleph, and the 11th Bracha. Chutz Masar Yomim.
Okay. You drink more water?
Except the Asar Yomim Shebein Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, which is known as Aseret Shemei Tshuva, Shebehem Tzarech Leima HaMelech HaKodesh and HaMelech HaMishpat. Why is that? He said, Pi Shebeyomim Halalu, in these days, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mare Malchusay, Lishpeit Es Oilam. We know the Eibishter is the Melech of the Welt, but this is the time when he judges the Welt. V'im Torah, if a person made a mistake, v'amar Hakel HaKodesh, Oshu Mesupet Imam HaMelech HaKodesh, if he knows the Fedish that he said it wrong, or he's not sure, and especially that he's accustomed to saying Hakel HaKodesh, so he has a good reason to think that maybe he didn't say right. Im Niska, if he reminded himself, the time that it takes, that means that there's an expression Shomalech Rabbi or Shomalech Rabbi Almighty. Acha Gemara Bracha. If now he finished the bracha and he's not sure if he said it correctly or he did say it wrong, but Philim Niska Ve'ein tzarech leima im niska ve'acha shehischa bracha reviyas. It means to tell it this way. The din of Shila Shalom Talmud Rabbi is if he didn't say anything after he said the word HaMelech HaKodesh. However, he's saying now that if a mashal, let's say, he started at the Chonim, even if it was shorter than the time of Shomalech Rabbi Almighty. That's what it means when we say, Ve'ein tzarech leima, and how much more, Im niska la'acha shehischa bracha reviyas, after he started, so then tzarech la'asa l'roish hatfilut. He has to go back to the beginning Shemona Esrei. Now, why doesn't it go back to At HaKodesh? He's saying At HaKodesh, and he said a mistake over there. Why does it go back to? He said the reason is because Shegimel brachos Rishonos chashuvas ka'achas. The first three brachos of Shemona Esrei are considered like one bracha. So if he made a mistake, he has to repeat the first three brachos again.
So if so you mean he doesn't need to go? He doesn't need to start. He doesn't need to start a do Shemona Esrei again. He just needs to start.
No, he starts again from the Shemona Esrei. Now, I always explain, I heard this many years ago from Rabbi Bukowski. There's a question over here. The question is, we said as this, if we said out the Kodesh, right, and let's say that it takes 3 seconds to say Shalom Aleichem Rabbi Yomairi. Let's say, okay, it takes even less than that. Okay. So, if only 2 seconds passed, he could correct it. He could say right away, HaMelech HaKodesh. However, if 1 second passed and he started at the Choinen, so then it's for Palan. It doesn't sound strange. If you 2 seconds of silence, so he can go back. If he started the next, but it's only 1 second. So why? So the husband that they say is, when a person speaks, there's vibrations. So being that if the person said a word, there's still vibrations that are going from his mouth. But once he starts another thing, that cuts off the vibration. So therefore, if he's in the middle of the 3 seconds, so there's a vibration. If there's a vibration, so there's a din, that Torah Kedei Dibur, that's what's called Torah Kedei Dibur. Why is it called Torah Kedei Dibur? So in the Shulchan, it says Torah Kedei Shiras Talmud, that's a sign. But the halacha is Torah Kedei Dibur because he's still speaking. Once he starts the next bracha, so he finished speaking. So therefore he has to go back to the beginning. Okay? V'im niska kaidem sheshor kedei shir hazeh, if he reminded himself before the shir that takes to say, let's say, I said before, like 3 seconds, so it's Omer HaMelech HaKodesh, he says HaMelech HaKodesh. V'ein tzorah l'chazor l'rosh, and you don't have to go back to the beginning. V'chein adin b'Melech HaMishpat, that if he said Melech Oiv Tzedakah Mishpat, and he reminded himself right away, he doesn't go back to the beginning. V'im niska l'achar sheshor kedei shir hazeh, if he reminds himself after the time that the waiting time that you could wait, count in, she'amar, he said Melech Oiv Tzedakah Mishpat. So he says, Ein tzorach l'chazor l'rosh. Now, he's saying now a difference between a Kela Kodesh and a Melech HaMishpat. By a Kela Kodesh, if he didn't say a Melech HaMishpat, he can correct it right away. Yeah. If the time passed, it's no good. He has to go back to the beginning.
Melech Kodesh?
Melech HaKodesh. Let's say the waiting period, let's say it's 3 seconds. If he reminded himself within 3 seconds, he could say right away, Melech HaKodesh. But he says, by Melech Oiv Tzedakah Mishpat, so if he reminded himself right away, so he goes, he could say Melech HaMishpat. But what happens if he didn't remind himself right away? So you'd say, you have to go back to the bracha. He says, no, you don't have to go back to repeat the bracha. Why not? And he said the reason is, Ki Mishehiska Rosh Malchus. You know, what's the bracha that we say in Asar Shema Tshuva? We say HaMelech HaMishpat, right? So we say the word Melech, right? So when you said Melech Oiv Tzedakah Mishpat, you also mentioned Melech. So being that you mentioned Melech, so you don't have to repeat it. That's one opinion. V'yesham, and some say, the imnis l'kaydem Hashem siyam tefilosai choyzer l'roish birchas Hoshiva. In other words, that he's saying that if he remembered himself later, he must have, he reminded himself by Shma Koleinu. So he's saying he can go back to the beginning of Hoshiva. V'im niska v'achas yistim tefilosai. If you already finished the Shmoneh Esrei, you walked out Oysa Shalom, so then Chayzer L'Rosh Tefillah. You have to repeat it. You have to repeat the whole Shmoneh Esrei. So you have two opinions. One opinion holds that if he said Melech Oysa Tzedakah Mishpat, he doesn't have to go back and correct it because he mentioned Melech. And one opinion says that it's not the same as a Melech HaMishpat. When you say a Melech HaMishpat, you're emphasizing. Over here you say Melech Oyev, he likes it, but it doesn't emphasize that he's doing it.
He says you do need to go back. So,
the one opinion holds that that you mentioned Melech, you don't have to go back. And one opinion holds that if you finish Shmoneh Esrei, you should go. You go back. Repeat the whole Shmoneh Esrei.
So what do we do?
So look weiter. So that's the question. So what do we do? We have two opinions. So he says, now the reason is, for this opinion holds that you repeat it. The reason is Mishum the Yesh Hefresh the Melech Oysa Tzedakah Mishpat v'Hamelech HaMishpat. What's the difference? The B'chol HaShana HaTzedakah Ika. Ukach Ekdim Mishpat. You said Melech Oysa Tzedakah Mishpat. So the emphasis on the tzedakah. Abba b'yam elu hamishpat ika. Ukach ein maskirin tzedakah kal. We don't mention the tzedakah. So he just explained now why there's an opinion that holds that you have to repeat the Shmoneh Esrei. Now comes your question. So what do we do? So he says, "In halacha, what do we do? Sofik brachos lahakol." Being that there's a mochokes, if you have to repeat the Shmoneh Esrei or not, so it's a sofik. So when you have a sofik, the brachos is only midrabanan. It means sofik brachos lahakol to a fichach. Therefore, in this gekoidem shesiyem tefilosai, if he reminded himself before he finished the Shmoneh Esrei, ain't so also the bracha hashiva. Today, Shalai Yavodah Sofik Bracha L'Vatorah. Because it could be, according to the opinion that holds that once you went away, you don't have to go back. So if you go back as a Bracha L'Vatorah, if you repeat 2 times the Shmoneh Esrei. What happens if you already finished the Shmoneh Esrei? He said, Tov she'yispal oy pa'am b'tfilas nedavar. Ve'ein tzorah l'chadesh b'davar, ki v'shemispal ois l'machmas ha'sofik. What he's saying like this, that if you're in the middle of Shmoneh Esrei, right? So you're davening because of the chi of the daven. So he's saying that there's an opinion that says that you don't have to correct it. So if you will correct it, so then you're saying maybe it's a bracha v'torah. However, if you finish Shmoneh Esrei, he has another eitzah. What's the other eitzah? The other eitzah is to repeat the Shmoneh Esrei, right? Now repeat it. So why isn't repeat the Shmoneh Esrei a bracha v'torah?
You can't pick right.
So he says that he should do it as tefillas nedavar. Have in mind that he's not doing it as tefillas mincha, let's say, or tefillas shachar. He's doing it as a special nedavar. Now, there is such a thing as tefillas nedavar. He says, "L'chayda, if someone daven, let's say shachas, so he can daven again Shmon Esrei as fills the daven. Why isn't it the bracha b'Torah? He's davening 2 times shachar. So what he does is he adds something in the bracha which he didn't say before. Not another Indian. He has he's making a fool for somebody. That's called tefillah. You have to be mechadish something in the tefillah. So right over here, if he's repeating the Shemona Esrei as tefillah nadavar, he has to add something, right? So he says no. Now he doesn't have to add. Why? Because now he's saying the bracha of Hashiva. He's saying in a different way than he said it before. Before he said Melech Tzedakah Mishpat, and now he's saying Melech Mishpat. So that alone is adding.
That alone is in the double.
So that's what he's saying. Look inside now, the words you see. He says, Alinyan Alocha, Safek Brachas Lahakol. Therefore, Im Nesekaidim Shesiyim Tfilosai, even if he reminds himself in the middle of Shemona Esrei, Ein Tzorach L'Achzor L'Bracha Hashiva. Why? Kedei Shlo Yivarech Safek Brachas L'Batolah. Because he's in the middle of davening mincha. What right does he have to repeat another part of the Shemona Esrei? Avolacha Shokaragav, after he already walked back out, says finished, is Toshe Spalo Goit Palm B'Toides Nadavar. He should repeat the whole Shemona Esrei to the Daven. It feels Nadavar, you have to be moist of something in it. He said, but now in this case over here, ain't sort of l'chadesh b'davar. He doesn't have to say something new that he didn't say before. Kimer shemispal oisam machmas asofik. He has a reason for doing it, and he's adding. It's a little bit different than it was before. Before he said Melech Tzedakah Mishpat. Now he said Melech Mishpat. So it's enough for the tefillah. Now he's going to talk another din. We already spoke about this din. Now the Rebbe brings in Shulchan Arukh that if you have to, let's say, say something in the Shemona Esrei, and till 30 days, if you're mesupik, if you said it or not, so most likely you didn't say it. After 30 days, if you're mesupik, we say most likely you did say it. So supposedly here, if the person, let's say, has to say Hamelech HaKodesh, and he's mesupik, did he say Kel Kodesh or Hamelech HaKodesh? So being that he's in the 30 days, then you know what he did. He said the wrong way. So there is when it comes to, let's say, Masha V'Ruach and Moed HaGeshem, there is an eitzah in Shulchan Arukh to say it with another few words from before. Out the Giba and Masha Moed HaGeshem 90 times. If you said it 90 times, it's considered like 30 days, right? And Melech is considered like 30 days. If you have a suffix, if you said it or not, you can say, oh, it's past 30 days. So right over here, do we have the 90-day eitzah by Hamelech HaKodesh? That's what's going to explain now. Look over here, this he says over here, Im Muhammad Tzaddik B'Amim Baruch Ato Hashem Hamelech HaKodesh. If he said it 90 days, 90 times, Oy Baruch Ato Hashem Hamelech HaMishpat V'yacha Kach Nestapik B'Tfilah. And then he had a question. Im Oma Hamelech HaKodesh or not? So he says it doesn't help. He said, Apa became sort of Lausa L'Roish the Divrei Hakom. Everyone agreed why he said the Divrei Hakom, Because there's a question if the 90 days really helps according to everybody. So he's saying that even those that hold that by Mashra Baruch it helps, over here it wouldn't help. Why wouldn't it help? He says, "Ve'eina doima l'mashra is by b'siman kuf yudalad." Gonna get the Mashra Baruch Geshem. You can't compare it because the Khan ki v'shein it ashrei gus kashem b'kriyasai mishum brach v'torah. Ve'im kain b'tfilah kishayma es Hashem b'kriyasai hu chayzer u'limudai lema hakel hakodesh. He says it's like, if you don't, like I said before, you don't just say 90 times Mashra Baruch Hu Geshem. You have to start with a few words before. When you start with a few words before, so you train yourself that when you say those few words before, you say right after that Mashra Baruch Hu Geshem. Now, how are you going to practice by Ata Kodesh? You can't say the Eibish's name 90 times in vain. So you can say Hashem. You'll say 90 times Baruch Ata Hashem, Hakel HaKodesh. So he said, that's not training you to say it. Why not? Because in the Shmoneh Esrei, you're not going to say Baruch Ata Hashem. You're going to say the right way. And that you never became accustomed to. So the right way, you didn't do it 90 times. So therefore, that's why I'm saying that idea will not help. Even though it helps for Mashra Baruch, it doesn't help over here.
Okay, thank you very much.